My name is Lauren Hickson. I am a school social worker in Hilliard City Schools. I have been a school social worker for 10 years now, maybe a little bit more, and I've been in Michigan and in Ohio. I also worked for 4 years at a community mental health agency called Centero, where I was a school-based clinician in the district, and I also coordinated the program for a couple of years until I got this job as a legit Hilliard City Schools employee. So currently I am based at the Innovative Learning Center, which is a blend of higher achieving kids. They can take college classes, they can take career mentorship, academy EDU, and then we also have some kids that work almost completely online, maybe because the traditional high school setting does not work for them. The other half of my job is at an elementary school. So I've had a lot of experience in working with children from elementary all the way up to high school. But today, what I really am excited to talk about are suicide risk assessments. The past 2 years I was at a high school, so unfortunately I've done a lot of them. I've gotten pretty good at them, I think, and so I wanted to share that knowledge with you. So the first thing I always do with every student I meet with, if they are over 11 years old, is I use the PHQ-9. It's the Patient Health Questionnaire, 9 questions. I like it because it is reliable, it's valid, it's super easy to do. It's distributed by Pfizer, and it's a widely used tool to screen for depression. And so there are only 9 questions, and I'm going to add that into this video. Little interest or pleasure in doing things, feeling down, depressed, or hopeless, trouble falling or staying asleep or sleeping too much, feeling tired or little energy, poor appetite or overeating, feeling bad about yourself or that you are a failure of let yourself or your family down, trouble concentrating on things, moving or speaking so slowly that other people would notice, or the opposite, being very fidgety and restless, and thoughts that you would be better off dead or of killing yourself. So those 9 questions are also the exact 9 criteria in the DSM-5 regarding diagnosing a depression disorder. So depending on their score on that, I will then go question by question and ask the student, like, oh, little interest or pleasure in doing things. You said more than half the days. Tell me about that. And I go through every question to make sure I'm understanding, because sometimes kids have a high score, but really they're tired because they're a high school student and they're super busy. Or they're not eating because they go to school and then they do sports and then they do work and they just don't have time for huge meals. Like, not exactly depression red flags. But I also, if they check a 1, 2, or 3 on thoughts that I'd be better off dead or wanting to kill myself, I will then ask questions about that some more. So I would ask, have you ever tried to hurt yourself before? Have you ever engaged in any self-harm? And I ask these questions very clearly. And it takes a while to get comfortable asking these questions, absolutely. And it's hard to ask somebody, have you ever tried to kill yourself? But it's necessary, and with kids, I mean, they're very honest. They'll usually just come right out and tell you. So you need to think about, do they have a current mental health condition? Do they have access to treatment? Are they on medication? You look at their protective factors. Are they in sports? Are they religious? Do they have supportive parents? Those are all really good things. But then there are some risk factors as well. If they're using substances, if they don't have a support system, if they've had previous suicide attempts, that's a huge risk factor. If they have access to means, you need to ask all of those things as well. You can ask, when was the last time you tried to commit suicide? How did you do it? What did you use? If you were to do it again, what would you do? You need to look at their timeline, how lethal it might be. So one of the things that I carry around with me is this oh, you might not be able to see it, but it's the safety. You can order these for free from SAMHSA. You can also download them, and it goes through risk factors, protective factors, the questions to ask about suicide, the inquiry, plan, behaviors, intent. So I know you probably can't see it real well, but download it. It's good. And then you can always call the psychiatric crisis line that Franklin County gives for all people in Franklin County. Always call the parent, consult, talk with the counselor or an administrator, get a second opinion. Don't ever leave the student alone if you are concerned about their safety. Call your school resource officer if you have one, or the local police department. There are definitely multiple steps you can take to make sure a student is safe. So I hope this was helpful. I know that's a lot of information to cram into 6 minutes. But please feel free to reach out to myself or to your instructor or your professor if you have more questions, and I'm happy to provide some further resources. So good luck, everybody. Thanks.